from Poland. We're back at the Blue Horizon. Bob Papa with you. Earlier tonight, Thomas Tate, a unanimous decision against Demetrius Davis. Next week, we will see Thomas Tate's brother, Frank Tate, in our main event here on ESPN2's Friday Night Fights. What a strange road it's been for Andrew Golota. He has had many troubles in his boxing career, but is still a viable heavyweight contender. Well, tonight he fights in Poland against veteran terrible Tim Witherspoon in a make-or-break fight for both men. Let's take a look at the long journey for both Golota and Witherspoon. Next 10 rounds. What does Tim Witherspoon have left at the age of 40? How about Andrew Golota going against a man of such experience? This bout earlier today in Poland, we pick it up with round number 1, Golota and Witherspoon. 30-year-old Andrew Golota, 31-3 with 27 knockouts, weighing in at 238 pounds. Terrible Tim Witherspoon, the former world champion, 40 years of age, 46-7, 31 knockouts. He weighed in at 239 pounds. Golota with 13 first-round knockouts. Witherspoon has 11. 22 of Golota's 27 knockouts have come within the first 3 rounds. And Teddy Atlas, early on, what do you expect in this bout?
You would expect Golota, the younger guy, the faster guy, at this point in his career, the more skilled guy, to get an early lead and out-hustle. Witherspoon would be looking to time him with a big right hand. That's always been his trademark.
Golota establishing a jab. I would think that'd be a key for him.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt about it. And his speed. He has more speed than Witherspoon. Witherspoon at 40 years of age, the one thing he does not have is speed. And that's going to be the question tonight. Not if he has power, but if he has the speed to land that power.
Witherspoon has lost his last two, losing to James Thunder on April the 7th back in December of last year. Lost a 12-round decision to Larry Donald. He's only been knocked out, though, once in his career, and that was back in 1986 when he lost in defense of his WBA title, getting knocked out by Bone Crusher Smith in round 1. But Witherspoon was battling Don King in the courts at the time, and Smith a late-minute sub for Tony Tubbs, and that was a bizarre situation.
It's enough to have to worry about your opponent. He had to worry about 5 opponents that night.
There's that right hand that you mentioned Witherspoon is looking to time.
If you're looking to make a case for Witherspoon, the thing that really bothers me is what you just said, the Thunder fight. Thunder was right in front of him. Thunder's a guy who was coming off 2 knockout losses, and he could not land that right hand. That worries me.
And Thunder had been knocked out by the light-hitting Chris Bird, of all people.
If you're a Golota backer, the thing that has to worry you a little bit is the last fight. Corey Sanders, a very green guy, a game guy, but not a real skilled guy, not an experienced guy, hit Golota at will. So you would think that that would make it very interesting tonight. Witherspoon, the older guy with power in the right hand, has a chance to land a punch on Golota. But he's going to have to throw it, and he's going to have to probably throw more than one at a time.
Final 30 seconds of round 1. What about the pressure? Golota fighting in front of his countrymen, 6,000 people on hand. You know, he's been fighting in the United States. Is that an added pressure for Andrew Golota?
You know, that's a good point. Usually you think you flip it around. You think the guy traveling would have the pressure. This is an experienced guy. He shows he can travel in Europe. He went over there and fought Frank Bruno, who was the champion a few years back, and he had no problem with it. Golota's the one you have to worry about.
Closing seconds of round 1. Golota and Witherspoon on ESPN 2's Friday Night Fights.
Here's how you can more than double your current life insurance coverage without paying 1 penny more than you are now.
Round number 2, scheduled for 10, Andrew Golota and Tim Witherspoon from Poland. Andrew Golota in the white and red trunks, Witherspoon in the white and black. Teddy, what about in between rounds, Lou Duva and Roger Bloodworth saying to Golota, don't stand right in front of Witherspoon?
This ain't exactly right, because the one shot Witherspoon has is that. If that lands, you don't want to stand in front of him. He doesn't have a chance to out-hustle you, not going to outspeed you, not going to outscore you. He's going to knock you out if he's going to win. So you don't want to stand in front of him. Kind of like Michael Moore when I had him fighting George Foreman. The one thing we did not want to do was to stand right in front of him, because that was his one shot. Unfortunately, we did do that.
There's the right hand again from Witherspoon. I tell you, I would think Golota would want to give Witherspoon a little bit of movement, too, just to make the 40-year-old work a little bit.
Yeah, if you have an old car, if you have a car that's not a new car, it's got a lot of miles on it, you want to let it use itself up a little bit.
1 minute gone by in round number 2. Andrew Golota and Tim Witherspoon.
The one thing about that, I'm sure the real good people that he has, Roger Bloodworth, you have Lou Duva, a real experienced guy, Ronnie Shields, who was a world champion, former world champion in his corner. They got to be concerned about the mental state of Golota. He's a guy that you never know. He has the ability, but mentally sometimes he crumbles. In my opinion, he crumbles to the pressure. I believe those fights with Riddick Bowe, even though he was ahead in the fight, because the guy was still there, he mentally fell apart, and he threw those punches low because he wasn't sure of himself, believe it or not. That's why the reverse pressure can work here. He's home, but that pressure being at home can really affect him. Witherspoon, an experienced guy, the pressure won't affect him.
Right hand from Golota missed the mark. Referee is from New Jersey, Steve Smoger. All 3 judges from the United States. Good combination by Golota. Golota seems relatively relaxed, Eddie.
No punches are coming at him. You be relaxed, too.
Except for that right hand. Again, Witherspoon misses with it.
You find out about a person in anything, especially in that squared ring, when there's pressure. Right now, there's no pressure on him. If you're Tim Witherspoon backer, you have to be concerned because this has fallen into the mode of his past bad performances, not moving his hands. It's not anything rocket science that he has to do here. He has to move his hands to have a chance to land that big right hand.
Final seconds of round number 2. This one is scheduled for 10. Andrew Golota against former world champion Tim Witherspoon on the deuce. Welcome back to ESPN 2's Friday Night Fights. Bob Papa along with Teddy Atlas, Andrew Golota, and Tim Witherspoon from Witherspoon, Poland at the Hala Ludova Arena. 6,000 fans on hand, and through the first 2 rounds, Teddy, Golota really hasn't had much to worry about from Witherspoon except from that right hand.
No, he's had it all his own way. He's been able to do anything he wants, and even at a slow pace. He didn't do anything real brisk the first couple rounds. Lou Duva said, you're boxing beautifully. But it's easy for him, and he's telling him the right things to keep him up. But it's easy to box beautifully when a guy's not throwing back. My God, I could be Fred Astaire if I could walk through the steps.
That right hand from Witherspoon, he has a name for it. He calls it the can opener.
Witherspoon also has a nickname, Terrible Tim Witherspoon. Back in the days when he was a sparring partner of Muhammad Ali years ago, Muhammad gave him that moniker there. Right now, Muhammad would probably say he's looking more like Timid Tim and not Terrible Tim.
Neither man has been down. Neither man has been hurt. We're through the first 2+ rounds of this 10-round bout.
You know, it's a double-edged sword, Bob. Golota could do a little bit more, but you don't want to do too much because then you can run into a punch. So in some ways, he's fighting a real smart fight.
Now, if you're Golota, do you just look to stay away from that big right hand, or do you start to look to counter off it?
Well, right now, there's no right hand coming, so you don't give him an opportunity to throw it. Don't be in that range. The thing is range. Witherspoon needs to throw that has the cooperation where you're close enough to land that wide punch. So all you have to do is watch your range. Make sure you're just out of range. The main thing is don't step out from too close. You can get caught on the way out.
Good jab there from the former champion Witherspoon. A lot of doubles with his jab.
Good counter right hand over the jab of Witherspoon by Golota. Witherspoon's always been a durable guy. Even now at 40, you know, he's a guy that doesn't get knocked out. That one time of Bone Crusher Smith, as you said, he had already beaten Bone Crusher Smith. That was an exception because of the things going on in his life at that time. Also, Bone Crusher Smith jumped on him. Golota's not jumping on anybody. In and out. That's what he's doing right now, Golota. You can see that's what they worked on. 2, 3, out. You just don't want to get greedy later on, where Witherspoon, even at this age, maybe can time you. As a fighter, you want to know how much time you have. Do I have time to throw 1 punch, or do I have time to throw 5?
Golota letting his hands go here near the end of round number 3. He has controlled this bout from the start. Scheduled for 10. Andrew Golota and Tim Witherspoon on ESPN 2's Friday Night Fights. Welcome back to ESPN 2's Friday Night Fights. Round 4 underway between Andrew Golota and former world champion Tim Witherspoon from Witherspoon, Poland. It's about 240 miles southwest of Warsaw. That is where Golota is from. A very enthusiastic crowd. And there's the right hand from Witherspoon. And again, Teddy, Golota's making sure he stays out of range.
It's a lot easier, Bob, when you have to worry about 1 punch at a time and no jab coming with it. There was a jab from Witherspoon, but they're few and far in between. You lead with right hands with any level, any kind of a level kind of fighter, you're not going to land it. Unless he's just a beginner. You are not going to land it. You have to do better than that.
Witherspoon comes in having lost 3 of his last 4, losing to Ray Mercer, Larry Donald, and James Thunder. The 1 win, a knockout of Levi Billups.
Witherspoon is doing what's become too familiar to people following Witherspoon lately. Not throwing punches. Old-time fight manager, very famous one, Customato, once said, you know, power is like a bomb. You have to have a missile to get it to the target. Otherwise, all it does is make a big hole in the ground. Doesn't do any value. That missile in the right hand of Witherspoon is doing nothing because he's not getting it to the target. He is not throwing punches.
There it is again, and Golota making sure he is at the right distance. Midway point of round 4.
Talked about where Golota came from. I was talking to people scouting the fight. Golota, they took him up to the hills, away from any kind of familiar surroundings, with the pressure that's on Golota being over there, being the kind of guy that sometimes succumbs to pressure or is bothered by pressure. They took him away from everything, took him up to the hills. He's been there for 3 weeks out in Poland. Plenty of time to acclimate.
Golota puts his punches together there and scores.
Tim Witherspoon was only over there 10 days. For an older guy, is that enough time to acclimate and get over the jet lag? I usually like 2 weeks.
There's Lou Duva in the corner of Andrew Golota. He, along with Roger Bloodworth and Ronnie Shields, man the corner. Final 30 seconds of round 4. So far, Teddy, a shutout for Golota.
Yeah, this is just a dance with only one partner. There's nobody else, doing it with him. It's all his way. He can do anything he wants tonight because there's being no resistance from Tim Witherspoon. Nothing exciting, but Golota is winning the round.
Come to the end of round number 4. Andrew Golota in control here against Tim Witherspoon. Scheduled for 10. There's the bell to end the round. Golota with a late shot. Tim Witherspoon complaining to Steve Smoger. Smoger says forget about it. Let's send it back to our studios. Here's Brian and Max.
Oh, no, and you got to figure, you got to just say, oh, no, not again with Golota, because he fought so well against Riddick Bomax. He got himself disqualified, and there he is. Witherspoon's trunks couldn't be much lower. It's a low blow. Yeah, we were talking about that while we were watching the fight. It was a low blow. Golota succumbs to pressure. We've seen it in the past, and Witherspoon's applying the pressure. The winner of this fight is a top 10 or 12 heavyweight, so the stakes are kind of high, because nowadays you're a top 10 or 12 heavyweight. That's millions of dollars, potentially, for a title shot against Holyfield or Lewis while they're waiting to make the fight. So, the stakes are high, and maybe Golota's feeling the pressure a little bit and succumbing to it a little bit.
It's happened before, of course. Programming note here before we get back out to the fight. 4 Eastern on ABC. That's on Sunday, the Texaco Grand Prix of Houston. Again, 4 Eastern on ABC. Getting back out to Bob and Teddy.
Andrew Golota getting set for the start of round number 5 against Tim Witherspoon from the Hala Ludova in Wrocław, Poland. Bob Papa along with Teddy Atlas and Tim Witherspoon trying to pull out every trick. Teddy, at the end of round number 4, he was complaining to Steve Smoger about a low blow, and Smoger would have none of it.
The old-time fighters, they used to bring their trunks up higher, so it would be hard for the referee to tell whether or not it was fair or not. Get a little edge that way. The old-time fighters look for everything. Sometimes they use these finished rounds near their corner, so they wouldn't have to walk back as far. Tim Witherspoon looks like he's going to need everything. The one thing he's not doing that he needs is to move his hand.
In the corner of Golota in between rounds 4 and 5, they urged him to not get lazy with the jab. Don't just lay it out there. Snap it out there, and this fight will be easy for you.
Right information, the right advice, because the one chance that Witherspoon has is to time him with the right hand. So you don't want a slow jab. You want a snappy jab from the right distance, not from too close, so he can't time you. And you don't want to look for a knockout. Roger Bloodworth told him that. Lou Duva told him that. The right advice. You want to just win. Take what he's giving you. And right now, Witherspoon's giving him too much.
Witherspoon, though, it seems, is starting to be first with his jab. And that would be a red flag in the Golota corner, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you know what? A red flag is, you're right. What would really be a problem is if Golota, by being too careful, allowed confidence to build with Witherspoon. Witherspoon to say, this guy was 10 years younger. He's not that much. I'm 40 years old. I'm going to go give it a shot. So there's a catch-22 there. You want to be smart, but you don't want to do nothing and just get by because you're going to allow the older guy to get confident and to start to be busier.
Well, here in round 5, it's probably been Witherspoon's best round. He's been assertive with his jab. There's a hook to the midsection. He's been first. There's a right hand to the ear by Witherspoon, and Golota ducking away.
This round, Golota has allowed Witherspoon to close the gap and get in close because Golota stopped using a jab. Golota's been a little bit too defensive-minded and a little too reserved this round. That's why Witherspoon's been a little better. Golota needs to move his hands, needs to take what Witherspoon's giving him, needs to be opportunistic without getting careless and without getting caught the right hand.
Both exchanged some jabs there. Final 10 seconds of round 5, the midway point of the bout, scheduled for 10. Andrew Golota against former world champion Tim Witherspoon on the deuce.
You need cash now? Thousands of families have turned to J.G. Wentworth for money when they needed it most of all. For business opportunities, debt consolidation.
Tim Witherspoon, the former WBC and WBA heavyweight champion. And Teddy, as we get set for the start of round number 6, there seems to be some optimism in the corner of Witherspoon.
Well, there's a reason for it. It was the first round that I gave him on the scorecard. Close because Golota came back a little bit at the end, but I thought Witherspoon carried the beginning of the round, the first 3 quarters. He finally started moving his hands. Part of it is because Golota was being a little bit too careful.
We hope you're enjoying Andrew Golota, Tim Witherspoon via satellite from Poland on ESPN2's Friday Night Fight, scheduled for 10 rounds. We're in round number 6. No knockdowns. Neither man has been hurt. Golota dominating the early portion of the bout, although Witherspoon did have a good round 5, as Teddy mentioned.
Witherspoon goes into that turtle defense, Bob, crosses his arms in that awkward way. Like the old mongoose, Archie Moore. Of course, George Foreman made it famous later, but Archie Moore was the one who first started that.
There's a right hand from Witherspoon and another right hand.
And that gives him a chance. That's all he wants, is to be able to get into range. And Golota has allowed him to. And he's throwing it. You can see he's like a guy who hasn't seen a meal for a while. He's really going to work.
Well, Witherspoon would like to chomp on Golota. And that right hand found the mark, and it all started in the last round when Witherspoon established the jab.
And you never know how Golota, who in the past has been a guy who's acted funny under pressure, is going to behave if Witherspoon starts getting into range and starts making things happen. Golota, as strong as he is, as skilled as he is, sometimes is not real strong in the mental department. Just because the guy's real physically fit and it looks tough doesn't always mean he feels the same way. Take Mike Tyson, for example.
Remember an old NFL coach said just because you talk like a football player, look like a football player, and walk like a football player doesn't make you a player. 1 minute to go in round number 6.
Golota's being allowed to move his hands. He's moving his hands. Witherspoon again, what you can expect from a 40-year-old guy a little bit, is really only picking the spots. The problem is he can't let those spots be too few and far between. Otherwise, he has no shot at winning this fight because he has to be in it to win it. He has to be able to throw that right hand because it doesn't look the way it's going. He's going to win a decision. He has to land that right hand.
The jab from Witherspoon. If you're a Golota back, are you concerned that you're having this much trouble with a 40-year-old?
No, if you're a Golota backer with all the ups and downs he's had, and with the way he can be so inconsistent and he can worry you, you're just glad that he's where he is, and that so far he hasn't bit anybody.
Final seconds of round number 6. Andrew Golota against Tim Witherspoon from Poland on ESPN2.
Now, the ultimate and extreme crash act.
Bob Papa along with Teddy Atlas in the corner of Andrew Golota here at the Hala Ludova in Wrocław, Poland. They said stop with the one punches. Put your hands together. Throw combinations. Throw your jab, and you win this fight. You're making this harder on yourself.
Well, that's good advice. All he has to do is use that jab, and Witherspoon is not going to walk into range where he can throw that right hand.
Now, in round number 6, Golota did get tagged with 2 right hands from Witherspoon.
Golota has a good chin. A lot of people after the Lewis debacle, they got knocked down 1 round, would say he doesn't have a good chin. He has a good chin. He got hit by Riddick Bowe. He's been a real good amateur, over 100 fights with top amateur fighters in the world. He has a good chin. The thing is, be able to mentally be strong and not want to give in, not freeze.
So you think that Lennox Lewis really beat him psychologically more than the punches?
Yeah, I think he was frozen in that fight. I mean, there was an excuse they made afterwards. They said he took an injection for, I believe, a knee injury, and that did not affect him properly. I think that he just froze up in that fight.
Well, if you remember that fight, he was late just getting to the arena. He was sequestered in his room. And there was concerns if he would come down. There's a look of concern on Lou Duba's face, but we like to see Golota double up with that jab.
Well, it's never over till it's over when you have with anybody in boxing. Anything can happen, especially a guy like Golota, who sometimes mentally can falter a little bit. That's always been his problem. 75% of this game is mental anyway. You've seen a lot of guys pass guys up with less physical abilities than the guy they pass up, because mentally they were able to endure. They were able to do it under pressure.
There's that right hand again from Witherspoon.
Believe it or not, Bob, under pressure, it's a funny thing in there. Sometimes guys look for excuses just in case they don't do well, to have an excuse to be able to say, well, it was because of this.
Good work by Golota as he goes downstairs and upstairs.
There were stories of old-time fighters. Sometimes day before fight, day of a fight, would drink a little wine, just so they could say to their friends, you see, if I didn't drink that wine, I would have won.
Golota pressing the attack here against Witherspoon in round 7, but Witherspoon answers right back.
Witherspoon's been a veteran 19 years. Golota about 6.5 years as a pro. No real spring chicken, but nothing compared to the 19 years of Witherspoon.
Good counter left from Witherspoon. Witherspoon and Golota on ESPN2's Friday Night Fights.
He's unhip. And he
I broke the window again.
has a brother.
How you doing? All right.
A Night at the Roxbury, rated PG-13. Now playing everywhere.
Hey, open up! Open up!
What? You're almost out of orange?
Shane Spencer of those New York Yankees. Meantime, go back to the other heavyweights, Bob and Teddy, guys.
There you go.
We get set for the start of round number 8, scheduled for 10. Teddy, they feel in the corner of Witherspoon that there is a legitimate shot to tag Golota and maybe pull off the upset.
They're not wrong, but they don't have a shot if they don't throw the punch. Again, you have to put that bomb onto a missile, and you got to ignite that missile. Where's the missile? Where's the punch?
Could Witherspoon maybe just be saving himself for the last couple of rounds where he sort of really presses Golota?
Well, he's waiting a little long there. He's going to make people a little nervous. He's only got 3 rounds left. Getting a little tight.
There's not been a lot of body work in this fight from either man, although Golota has landed a few more body shots.
If you're looking for hope from Witherspoon, you can go back and say, you know, Witherspoon went abroad, went overseas, and he knocked out Frank Bruno when he was behind in a fight similar to this. He wasn't throwing punches, and then he caught him with the big right hand in the 10th round. He was not able to pull it out of the fire. But that was back in '86.
Yeah, it was 12 years ago. And that is the latest knockout that Witherspoon ever recorded. It was an 11th round stoppage. You're wondering about his late power. Golota has never stopped anyone after 8 rounds.
Starting to get into urgent territory here for Terrible Tim here. And I tell you one problem. In his corner, he's got a good chief trainer, Whit Lowry, an old-timer from North Carolina, had Oliver McCall, helped out Bert Cooper. Got James Thornwell, manager Tom Moran, who's been with him through thick and thin. Actually, Witherspoon had left him at one point in his career and then came back to him. But he's got his brother, Steve Witherspoon. Your brother, I don't think, can be urgent with you if there's an urgent situation. and that can hurt him a little bit.
Witherspoon again throwing those right hands. He says to Golota, come on, bring on some more. And I think Witherspoon's just trying to set him up to fire off one of those rights.
He'd like to play possum a little bit and try to lure in Golota a little bit. A little bit like Holyfield did with Michael Moorer, where he was able to bring him in close, where he could land the punches and not deal with the jab and the problem of distance. Distance is the hardest thing for an old-timer to deal with, because reflexes come into play, but when you're close, you can still let those punches go. Distance is a big enemy, and speed for an old-timer.
Push him off. That's it. Good.
The crowd trying to urge on Andrew Golota. 6,000 fans on hand here at the Hala Ludova in Wrocław, Poland. Closing seconds of round 8. Remember, this one is scheduled for 10. Tim Witherspoon and Andrew Golota.
Barry Sanders, 3-time leading rusher, has what it takes to get...
We get set for the start of round number 9. Bob Papa along with Teddy Atlas, Andrew Golota, and terrible Tim Witherspoon. Scheduled for 10 from Poland. No knockdowns in the fight. Another man has been hurt, and Teddy, time is rapidly running out on Tim Witherspoon.
Oh, yeah, we're past the point of no return here. Tim can only, on my scorecard, I think a lot of other people's probably, can only win by a knockout. That's going to have to come from the right hand. And he's going to have to throw it. He's going to have to get close enough to throw it. And he may have to throw more than one.
A couple of rounds ago, he did tag Golota with back-to-back right hands, but Golota shook them off. Corner Witherspoon said, throw the jab to the chest so that right hand would be a bit straighter as opposed to that roundhouse right over the top.
Tim Witherspoon's trademark has always been that roundhouse right hand. He's been able to make a living for him, but the straight right hand is always more effective. Less chance to get away from it. It gets there faster. You don't see it as well.
Good left from Golota. Witherspoon looking to respond.
A lot of people might say, you know, Golota could do more, but I'm sure his corner is very satisfied. He's well ahead in the fight, and he's staying out of harm's way, and he's just picking him apart a little bit. Just pop, 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 getting at it.
Golota has fought a very patient fight. He's shown composure, and that's one of the big questions concerning Andrew Golota is composure.
I don't want to take anything away from him. He has, but he hasn't really been tested either. There's been no real sustained pressure. To test composure, character, whatever you want to call it, professionalism, you have to have sustained pressure. There really hasn't been any. There's been 1 or 2 spots.
Blood from the nose of Golota. There's a good right hand from Golota.
I think Golota can get closer to Witherspoon if he wants to, but I don't think he wants to, because if he gets closer, then Witherspoon's closer to him. He's satisfied to just take it where he's taking it, from a safe distance. A lot of people say, well, why don't he get closer? That's why. Gotta watch he doesn't get caught on the way out. That's going to be the biggest danger down the stretch here. Don't go straight back.
Well, you see Witherspoon now is willing to take 2 or 3 shots if he can just land 1 or 2 of his big ones. That time, Golota was within range, and Witherspoon did nothing. Final seconds of round number 9. It is a 10-round bout between Andrew Golota and Tim Witherspoon. All Golota through 9. So 9 rounds in the book between Andrew Golota and Tim Witherspoon. Golota controlling this fight. Let's listen into his corner with Lou Duva.
You don't have to fight with this one. Stay out there inside and box your ass off.
Take no chances. Box the guy.
He's gonna try to come hard.
Well, here you see Golota scoring his punches and getting out and keeping his hand up so he didn't get caught on the way out. That's why he was successful right there. Got his punches in, got out before Witherspoon could retaliate. Again, here you can see, even though he falls short, he follows up his misses, he peppers, and he gets out before Witherspoon can respond with only one punch.
So Tim Witherspoon and Andrew Golota touch gloves in the center of the ring. We begin the 10th and final round. Teddy, do you have it 8-1 so far, Golota?
Yeah, I have it 92-82 in points. That's what it comes out to. Shutout except for one round. Tim, no doubt about it, must score a knockout. And he's coming out like he's going to try at least. He's bobbing and weaving. That's good for defensive reasons, but right now he needs offense. Bob and weave all you want, but throw those punches, Tim. See, right there, he wasn't able to pull the trigger. He should have pulled the trigger. A younger Witherspoon would have pulled the trigger.
I guess this could be the end of the line for Tim Witherspoon with losses to Larry Donald and James Thunder. And apparently on his way to a loss here against Andrew Golota. What's the point of continuing?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, on the one side, if this value weight can be used as a stepping stone for a guy coming up, but at this point, that may even deteriorate. He may not even have value there anymore. Because who's going to want to buy him?
There's the right hand. Golota protecting himself and firing off the ropes. Midway point of the final round.
What Witherspoon needs here is what happened years ago when John Tate, Big John Tate, was heavyweight champ, and Mike Weaver caught him with seconds left in the 15th round after losing almost every round. He needs a rocky ending here. That's what he needs. He needs to throw a right hand.
Someone had better get the script to Golota then. And Witherspoon just not throwing punches here in the final round.
The old-time trainers used to say, people say you could be a little more exciting, look a little better, Golota. Old-time guys used to say, just win tonight. We'll look good somewhere down the road. That's what Golota's doing. He's just winning tonight. Doing what's being given him.
Good right hand to the midsection by Golota.
You know, we'd really be talking about the 40 years of age even more if it wasn't for guys like George Foreman that made you forget about that.
That's right.
Because before that, it was only guys like Archie Moore that fought into their 40s with any success.
Well, 7 seconds to go, and Andrew Golota appears on his way to a unanimous decision against Tim Witherspoon. There's the bell to end it. Andrew Golota embraces Tim Witherspoon, and Golota returns to Poland with a solid effort against Witherspoon. We'll have the decision after this timeout on ESPN2's Friday Night Fights. Back to Poland, Bob Papa along with Teddy Atlas. Here's our ring announcer, Pavel DeLong.
100 do 91. Sędzia Rivera 98-93. Jednogłośną decyzją sędziów zwycięzcą jest Andrzej Golota!
Teddy, no surprise. Andrew Golota improves to 32-3. Unanimous decision against Tim Witherspoon. Did Golota help his stock at all with this?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. A win is a win is a win. He won the heavyweight division the way it is. They need guys. He's right there. He's right in there. He's going to fit in there for a big fight.
What about Tim Witherspoon at 40 years of age? His 8th loss. He's now lost 3 in a row.
Tim Witherspoon's a nice guy. He's had a great career, but quite honestly, he's at the end of his road. And the only value left for him is if somebody coming up wants the name value guy. But what's left in that? Maybe the television networks might not want to use him because at this point he doesn't make exciting enough fights. That's the problem.
So after the Lennox Lewis meltdown, Andrew Golota has now won 4 in a row. A unanimous decision against Tim Witherspoon as he makes his return to Poland. Let's send it back to our ESPN2 studios with Brian Kent.